Hey there everyone, today's video is by viewer request, okay? So welcome to the CNA Instructor's Secret Cocktail. I'm Victoria Randall, I am your pusher, and today's video is going to be how to write a CNA school curriculum. So let's look at how to do that. So I have here one of my CNA curriculums that I have written, and I'm going to give you an example of how to write a CNA curriculum, okay? Whenever you reach out to your state, whether it's the Department of Health or it's the Board of Nursing or whoever oversees the nurse aid training program, you need to request from them objectives for learning. And usually it's on the website, or they'll have like a model curriculum. And inside that model curriculum, we'll talk to you about the different types of objectives that you must hit. Okay, so I'm going to pull an objective that I am 100% sure is on everyone's curriculum requirements, because this is a federal requirement. Okay, the federal government regulates some of the basic core elements that should be in a CNA program curriculum, and then the state has the ability to add on any additional things that they want to add on. So this is a core federal mandated regulation, and that is hand washing. Right? We all know that you got to know how to wash them hands, okay? So let's go over an example of hand washing. Now I want you to visualize, if you're a visual person, I want you to visualize for me 5 different rows, okay? 5 different rows. And row number 1 is going to be your daily schedule. And so for instance, this is day 1, this is your first day of class, and you're going to be teaching how to wash hands. And you are utilizing Hartman's The Nursing Basics, edition number 5. And in edition number 5, let's say hand washing is on pages 44 through 57. So you're going to write classroom time. I'm going to teach this from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. It's going to be Hartman's chapter 3, pages 44 through 57, okay? That's in that first row. Now in the second row is going to be the objective. All you have to do is simply pull out that objective from the state's requirements. So if it says hand washing, then you're going to put hand washing as your objective. Very simple, right? Now, many states want you to take it a step further in your objective column, and I suggest doing it regardless to what state you're in, and that's identifying how you're going to teach that objective. Not necessarily how you're going to teach it, but how you're going to go at it, from a affective versus a cognitive versus a psychomotor. Okay, so let's think about this when we think about hand washing. So when we think about hand washing cognitively, we need our student to be able to tell us that they understand why hand washing is important, right? From a affective standpoint, how do you as a student feel about this washing your hands business, between every patient? Or how do you as a student feel about this hand washing, the special hand washing that is required for a C. diff patient? Things like that, okay? Then we're going to talk about psychomotor. So those are the students who actually learn with their hand kinesthetically. So you need to make sure that you are looking at the psychomotor aspect of teaching hand washing, which is definitely the hands-on. That's me. I need psychomotor. I'm a kinesthetic person. I need hands-on. And a lot of your students may be like that too. But some students just get it cognitively. So how are you going to look at each one of those elements when you're teaching the concept of hand washing, okay? So let's go ahead and look at the third row that I told you to think about. And that third row is your content. Think about everything related to hand washing. So I'm going to give you some examples. There's medical asepsis, right? When washing your hands, there is, you need to think about universal precautions. You need to think about the different types of pathogens that they may have to worry about on their hands, like MRSA or C. diff, things like I was telling you. Just, they need to think about the whole nosocomial line of infection. All of that's going to be in your book, literally. So when they say the objective is hand washing, and remember I told you that was on pages 44 through 57, Go to pages 44 through 57 and just all those bolded things, that's what you're going to write in your content column. Super easy, okay? Super easy. Those bolded things are going to be chain of infection, nosocomial infection, risk factors for infection, the different types of infections, MRSA, C. diff, all those things. That's what's going to be in your content. You don't have to get all specific. You're just bullet pointing what you're going to teach. Okay, so your next column is going to be methods and materials. So you want to think about what different methods and materials you're going to use to teach this content. So one person asked me, oh my God, I don't want to be all boring when teaching this content. How can I make sure that my content is vibrant and that my students want to learn? Be creative. How have you been taught hand washing? How have you seen others teach hand washing? I've seen where the markers, you have the clear or the invisible marker on the hand, and then you have the special soap and they wash their hands, and then afterwards you use the UV light to make sure that they wash their hands the best way they should. And if not, the UV is going to reveal that there's still germs there, right? You could teach hand washing. I had one student say that she puts glitter on the student's hands. The glitter simulates that of microorganisms. So how long does it take you to wash the glitter off your hands? You be creative. You think about what it is that you want to do to teach this particular topic. So for instance, methods and materials, I have materials here that you could use a CDC handout or a CDC PowerPoint. The CDC does have a PowerPoint presentation and handouts about hand hygiene. You could be, and that one is relating back to the cognitive aspect. Remember, when you're looking at your methods and materials, you want to relate it back to the affective, the cognitive, the psychomotor. So let's think about the cognitive. The cognitive aspect would be a classroom. Basically, you're having a classroom lecture. You're teaching them. And you decide to use the CDC PowerPoint to teach them this. That's talking about the cognitive aspect. Now, if you want to talk about the affective, you can literally just have an open classroom discussion and talk to them about, hey, you went in your patient's room, and what all are you going to use to go in there? How do you feel about having to gown up and wearing gloves and wearing a face mask? All of that for this type of infection. How does that make you feel? How do you think your patient feels? So they're talking about and looking at the whole affective aspect of that. Then you also want to touch on the psychomotor part of hand washing, and that's what? The physical washing. So that would probably be done in lab, right? So I would determine that maybe I said classroom was from 9 to 10, but from 10 to 11, we're going to go into the lab and we're actually going to do the psychomotor part of hand washing. The hand washing objective, and that's actually washing hands. So each student is going to wash their hands, and trust me, it's not as simple. If you think about it, there are certain things that we do in hand washing, such as not touching the sink, such as after you've already turned the spigots on and you've washed your hands, that you're using a clean paper towel to turn those spigots off and not using your actual hands because you're reinfecting yourself. Those are things that you and I as a nurse think about all the time, and it's just second nature to us. But if you're a person that's new and you're coming into this field, all those concepts are very foreign to you. So you need to make sure that you're teaching them that when it comes to the psychomotor aspect, okay? Now, the evaluation is the very last column I want you to think about. How are you going to evaluate them? Are you going to evaluate them because there are no more glitter on their hands? Are you going to evaluate them because when you use the UV light, everything was gone? Are you going to evaluate them from a cognitive standpoint because after you gave the class discussion, you asked the whole class a question, such as what all is needed for C. diff hand hygiene? And if someone raised their hand and said hand foam or the alcohol foam, you knew that they weren't listening, right? Because we all know that in order to get rid of C. diff, you have to actually wash your hands with soap and water. So asking a question at the end of your lecture can help you determine whether or not the student has actually received the information that you gave. So you would type that up in your evaluation. Just type up active class participation, question will be asked, type in that question, type in what the answer is, Type in student will not have glitter on hands by the end of hand washing, whatever your evaluation method is for each one of those, okay? So that is the basics that I want you to consider when writing your curriculum, and I hope that that was helpful. I know that that was just one aspect of it. The curriculum touches so many high points. There's so much included. There's so many objectives, and there's so many different ways to teach each objective. The great thing in writing your own curriculum is that you get to determine how you get to implement it. You get to determine how those students will get to learn that information. So be creative. If you have any more further questions about writing a CNA school curriculum, I host a CNA curriculum writing course once a month. It is called Virtually Ready in 12 Hours, where we get together and we meet twice a week and we write curriculums together. I help you brainstorm, we figure it out together, and it's all based upon your state specific guidelines, okay? I am also rolling out a course online, which will be a self-paced course where you still get to consult me in between time on how to write your own curriculum off of whatever book you choose. I always choose Hartman's The Nursing Basics Edition 5. That's what I teach off of, but everyone doesn't like that book. Or some states, there's like probably about 5 states that have a specific book that you have to write from. So that's why this course is best for you, because you get the chance to determine what book you want to use for your curriculum, okay? So I don't want to take that creative control from you. So if you have any other questions, please put it in the description box below. I hope that this was helpful. If you're like me and you need a visual, I'll be happy to remake another video that actually has a visual for you to see. But it's best if you consult with me. I do consult calls. If you have specific questions, I'll put my link down below so that you can sign up for a consult call with me for any specific state questions that you may have. Thank you so much for viewing the CNA Instructor's Secret Cocktail. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe down at the bottom, that little red subscribe button, and I hope to see you again. Have a good one.